Welcome to Barca News. It is September 29th, 2025. And Real Madrid are at it again, coming after Barcelona for the Negreira case. Only a few days after they lost to Atletico Madrid. You surprised? Of course not. Also, a judge has charged the former Barcelona president, Josep Maria Bartomeu, with embezzlement. We're going to talk all about it. And finally, Marc Bernal extending his contract with Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but of course, it's also where I get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. So start filling out that chat section so we can get the discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends and you want to get straight into the news, don't worry. I'll put timestamps in the description, chapters in the timeline, in case you do want to skip through the discussion, get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps the channel continue to grow. Also makes me feel good because I see the channel growing, so I know I'm doing something right. If you are looking to place any sports bets, you can head to Bet Us. You could bet on any sport in the world, not just Barca matches. And if you want to buy Barcelona merchandise, hats, t-shirts, jerseys, whatever, you can head to Goal Kids, Kickback, or Fanatics, where you can also buy, by the way, gear from any team, not just football. Any sport. All the links are in the description. You click on them, you'll be helping this channel, but you'd also be helping yourself because you get access to deals, offers, discounts that otherwise you would not get if you just went straight to the website. So help this channel out. Click on those links, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, all of it. And with that, let's begin with the news because we do have a lots of news to cover. Starting with, of course, the first segment, as usual. It's multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity. Starting with Joan Garcia, because as you know, the Barcelona goalkeeper underwent surgery. He did so on Saturday. The doctor who performed the surgery is Eric Garcia, because he can do it all. He can be a right back, left back, center back, defensive midfielder. He's also an orthopedic surgeon. I'm kidding, of course, but the doctor to perform the surgery on Joan Garcia is Joan. Also, his name is Joan. Joan Carlos Moneyao, with the assistance, of course, with Dr. Ricard Pruna. Dr. Ricard Pruna is the head doctor at FC Barcelona, so he too was present during the surgery. The surgery went well, and now Joan Garcia is expected to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, and he has given us an update, the goalkeeper himself, when he posted the following on his Instagram account, accompanied by Pedri and Dani Olmo. They went to visit him at the hospital after the surgery, and he wrote, "It all turned out well, culés, can't wait to return. Thanks for the messages and support." So Joan Garcia confirming that the surgery was successful, everything went well, and that's about it. He's a man of very little words as we've seen previously in interviews. When reporters try to ask him questions, he always has very little to say, which honestly, I like it. I prefer it. I like when players just keep to themselves. That way, there's no controversy. That way, nobody's talking about, oh, did you hear what this guy said? Straight to the point. Look, surgery went well. Thank you guys for the support. Done. I love it. Straight to the point. So, very happy to hear that Joan Garcia's surgery went well. And of course, I wish him a speedy recovery because we need our octopus. No, I don't like that nickname, even though he is an octopus. I mean, this guy is like, bah, 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 just stops it all. Maybe we can call him Neo from the Matrix because he be dodging bullets. No, but that means he be dodging the ball. I don't know. We'll come up with a nickname for him. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because, of course, the El Clasico match is right around the corner. It's toward October 26th, is it? If I'm not mistaken, towards the end of October. But as you know, since we partner up with Spotify, every Clasico match, we replace the Spotify logo with the name of an artist. And I told you that it had been leaked that it would be Ed Sheeran that would be appearing on Barcelona's kit for El Clasico match. And well, now we have confirmation. Not official confirmation, but pretty close because check out the t-shirt that Ed Sheeran wore over the weekend in a concert that he held. He has Play with the Play logo and of course the FC Barcelona crest. So not an official confirmation by the club, but pretty damn close. So it's looking like 99.9% that yes, indeed, it will be Ed Sheeran on the Barcelona kit for this El Clasico match in October. And Memorabilia 1899, which are the ones who are always leaking Barcelona kits before they come out, has leaked the following, or has posted the following picture, that this is what it's going to look like. The play button with the word play in the place of the Spotify logo, which of course will be the special edition kit for this El Clasico match. And as I always ask you guys, let me know, do you like this? Do you not? What do you think? I kind of like it. I like it because it's simple. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, what a design, play button. Oh my goodness, amazing. But, you know, I do like it. I do like it because it's simple. Not a great design, but it's also not a bad one. Like, for example, I don't know if I like the Rosalia one with the barbed wire. Was it Rosalia? Or was it Karol G? Sorry, Karol G with the heart and the barbed wire. I wasn't a big fan of that. This one, simple, elegant. I don't mind it. So let me know what you guys' thoughts and opinion. And speaking of a Clasico match, not only will we have, of course, the special edition kits that Barcelona always has for Clasico matches, but we will have a special ball. Yes, you heard that correctly. But check this out. Puma have announced that they will have a special edition ball for El Clasico match. And this is the picture. This will only be used in El Clasico match. Of course, there is the La Liga ball that it's used in every La Liga match. But for this El Clasico, this will be the special edition ball. I don't know. It looks like a regular ball to me, but hey, whatever. If Puma says this is a special edition, then I guess I'll believe them. But pretty much what they explained is all these dots, there are stars in the sky because, of course, the big protagonists of the El Clasico match are the stars who get on the pitch. Otherwise, the players. So they're highlighting the players who get to play a Clasico match. I don't know. It just looks like a regular ball to me. But and they did the logo, of course, the Puma logo, gold. Woohoo! Anyways, that's a special ball that will be used during the Clasico. By the way, first time in history that a special edition ball is used just for Clasico match. You know, every season there's a new ball for La Liga, and they use that all throughout the season for every single match. This is the first time in history that they use a special ball just for the Clasico match. So, yeah, there you have it. Wow, amazing. Anyways, that's all the news for this first segment. Let's do the comment section. And, of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about the play button of Ed Sheeran? And what do you think about this amazing, mind-blowing special edition ball? Let me know in the comment section. And let's do the comments. And then we are going to talk about big news. Well, not really big. It's more like expected news because Madrid are at it again with the Negreira case. Barca News Boy says, hey, Mo, they're always trying to make excuses for their loss. 100%. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Marcus says, hey, Mo, I'm following from the legendary state of North Dakota. Thank you for joining, my friend. I don't know about legendary, but, you know, you got to be proud of your home state, so power to you. I'm kidding, of course. Java the Hut says, I'm glad that Bernal renewed, but I hope he doesn't end up as Ansu Fati. I hope not, because I think Bernal shows more promise than Ansu, even though, don't get me wrong, Ansu was incredibly promising before the injuries. So, yeah, hopefully not. Mantamante says, Mo the turkey. I like that. Shid says, so what did Madrid wake up to be offended by today? Oh, we're going to talk about it in a little bit. It's pretty ridiculous. You're going to roll your eyes, understandably so. But at this point, we've come to expect this level of idiocy. Unfortunately, Madrid have become a crybaby club, a pathetic club, a club run by morons. That's all I can say. Mohammed says, Mo, do you think Xavi would do well at Manchester United? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, oh my God, I can't believe I completely skipped that. That was supposed to be in my first segment. We'll talk about it in the next segment since we already started doing the comments. El Pollito says we should call him Cat because he looks like a cat. Joan Garcia? I don't know if he looks like a cat. Does Joan Garcia look like a cat? Or do you mean like cat the what's called the anniversary mascot? Because I don't think Joan Garcia looks like a cat. Prof. Kavadi says, hello Mo, how are you doing? Any news from the Camp Nou? Yes, there is news regarding the Camp Nou, but that's going to be in the next video because, of course, it's not going, there's so much I can fit in the podcast. Otherwise, it becomes 10 hours long. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to sit here for 10 hours listening to me blab. And the Rebel Pilot says, Joan El Gatito Garcia. I like that. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, not because he looks like a cat, but it could be a good nickname because, of course, we know cats have incredible reflexes. And as we've seen, Joan Garcia has incredible reflexes. So yeah, maybe we could nickname him a cat. But not because I think he looks like a cat, but because he has the reflexes of a cat. But Arnold Bolisomi says, hey Mo, it's always a pleasure to catch the live podcast. Thanks for the amazing work on keeping us updated on Barca news. No, thank you, my friend, and thank all of you who are currently watching, because without you, as I always say, I'd be just a crazy guy screaming at his camera. So without you, there is no Barca news. So thank you guys. And the last comment before we do the next bit of news is Shin, who says 19-year-old 5th Division goalkeeper died after a collision in the match. He went brain dead immediately. Praise out to... Oh, I did not hear about that. That is insane. Wow, 19 years old. That's incredibly, incredibly young. And wow, how hard must that have been, that collision, for him to just die on the spot. My God, that is awful. So yeah, definitely, prayers for his family. That must be a terrible loss. I mean, 19 years old, his whole life ahead of him. That's horrible. But anyways, let's get back to the news on that sad note. But let's talk about Real Madrid, because as you know, Real Madrid got absolutely hammered over the weekend on Saturday. 5 goals they received at the hands of Atletico Madrid, which could have been more, by the way. I watched that match. During the first half. Atletico Madrid had so many chances that could have easily been a 7-2, maybe even 8-2. But nonetheless, 5-2 scoreline, exposing that Real Madrid are really a fraud club. I mean, they've been a fraud for quite some time. And, even the season that they won the Champions League, they were not the best team by far. There were many, many other teams who were better than them, but they ended up winning by, I would even say luck. It's just like parking the bus and holding on for dear life, and then in one play, one counterattack, score a goal, and then that's how they end up winning. So that, of course, as I always say, when you play horribly, when you have no identity, when you have no system of play, no game plan, nothing, you eventually get exposed, right? That happened to Xavi's Barca. They won La Liga. Everybody went, La Liga, we're so great. I said, no, we're not great. We play like crap. We're super slow. We're sluggish. We're highly predictable. We're barely winning matches by goal scraping by, begging for the ref to blow the whistle. And lo and behold, we got exposed the following season when, we didn't win anything. And that's exactly what's happened to Madrid. Sure, they won the Champions League, but following season, they got exposed under Ancelotti. They didn't win anything. This season, they're getting exposed again because, they're a fraud team. They have all these stars, all these Galacticos. Oh, Xabi Alonso. Oh, we beat Levante. We beat Espanyol. Oh, my God, we're so great. But as soon as they face a team with, decent power, they get exposed. They got exposed by Atletico Madrid. They got exposed by Arsenal, PSG, Barcelona, you name it. Oh, and then coming up on Liverpool. Let's see how that goes. But anyways, since they did get exposed 5-2, and since Barcelona won, what does that mean? What does it mean when Madrid lose and Barcelona win the same weekend? It's Negreira time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, right on time. Real Madrid bring up the Negreira case because, of course, they have to distract you from the fact that they are a fraud team. So, what is Real Madrid up to now? Well, Real Madrid now wanna distract everybody away from their humiliation. Oh, there's Xavi. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Because they want to include statements of former Barcelona presidents as part of the Negreira case. Now, you know by now what the Negreira case is about. Former referee. Barcelona hired him from 2001 to 2018 to produce refereeing reports, just like any other club in First Division does. But he was also the vice president of the CTA, or the technical committee of referees, at the same time that Barcelona were paying him. So, of course, that they're trying to prove that Barcelona was bribing referees and influencing the competition through Negreira. Because since Negreira was a vice president of CTA, that means that the money Barcelona were paying for their reports were not actually for reports. It was so Negreira can take that money and then pay it to the refs. So then the refs can rule in favor of Barcelona, which, how ironic, during the first 3 years of the hiring of Negreira, Real Madrid and Valencia won. Also, Barcelona got robbed of a La Liga title with that horrible call that ruled that Messi was offside, even though he wasn't. And the referee was, of course, who? The biggest Madridista of them all, Mateo Laos, who has admitted that he robbed Barcelona of a La Liga title. That also happened during the Negreira years. How coincidental. But anyways, also Madrid won La Liga several times during the Negreira years. How coincidental. How does that work? If you're bribing the vice president of the CTA in order to win La Ligas and you're losing La Liga titles, you're getting robbed of La Liga titles, Madrid are winning them. How does that work? I don't know. But anyways, they're trying to say that Barcelona bribed referees through Negreira. It's been 2 years into the investigation. There's absolutely no evidence of anything. I mean, you didn't even have to investigate. They paid Negreira 7.5 million euros over the span of 17 years. Okay? I'm going to pull up a calculator here. Wait. So, if they paid Negreira 7.5 million euros, okay, over the span of 17 years, that's 441,000 per year. You're telling me that's how much it costs to bribe 20 first division referees? Because you need, if you're going to fix a season, you need to bribe all of them, right? Or let's say half of them. Let's say you only bribe 10 out of the 20 referees. 441,000 divided by 10 referees, that's 41,000 a year to bribe them. They make 300,000 euros a year. You tell me these refs would put their career at stake? They would getting fired. They would risk getting fired. There was a risk going to prison for $40,000 when they're making $300,000 or euros. That math just ain't math. But anyways, years into the investigation, there's still no evidence of anything. And now Madrid want to include the statements of former Barcelona directors like Toni Freixa and Gaspar. Statements that they gave during interviews when they were giving their opinion about the Negreira case. Madrid wants those statements included in the Negreira case. Again, these are statements given by former Barcelona directors on TV shows while they're expressing their opinions. So this is like me, let's say my neighbor gets charged with murder, and I say, I think John did it. And Madrid is like, hey, Mo said he thinks John did it. That's proof. That's not proof of anything. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean that John actually did it. And it's definitely not proof of anything. But this is the level of stupidity that Real Madrid has reached. Now, what statements are we talking about that Madrid wants to include in the Negreira case from these interviews that they believe, he's going to prove everything. He's going to crack the case wide open. I've got to read to you the portion of the article that discusses the statements. I'm not going to show you the article because it's in Spanish. I translated it myself. But if you guys are ready to laugh, well, hold on to your seatbelts, because here's the segment of the article that Madrid addresses what Madrid are holding on to. Okay, it says that they're holding on to the only statements that Madrid have told the media that they want included is those of Joan Gaspar, who was a Barcelona vice president from 2000 to 2003, and during an interview, he said he avoided confirming with significant ambiguity that sums were paid to Mr. Enriquez Negreira during his term, limiting himself to expressing that despite not having known or heard anything, that Enriquez Negreira was doing anything illegal with Barcelona. Okay? The statement adds, Gaspar denied having any knowledge at the time of Negreira's refereeing report, but if this were the case, it seemed quite logical to him. And that if this was the case, in his opinion, it would not be an act of irregularity. Equally striking, Mr. Gaspar indicated that if there were irregular services and or payments, they would necessarily have been known to the president of Barcelona. An illegal service that could be provided at Barca, the president would certainly know about it. That's his exact quote. So this is what Real Madrid want to include in the case. Vice President Jean Gaspar said, hey, when I was in part of the board, I didn't know anything about payments to Negreira. But if that was the case, if Negreira was getting paid for those reports, I don't see anything wrong with it. And if there was something illegal going on, the Barcelona president would know about it. Oh, my smoking gun, guys. Smoking gun. That just cracked the case wide open. Smoking gun. This is better than a video of Barcelona presidents dropping bags of cash at the houses of referees. That's it. Crack the case wide open. Oh, my God. Smoking gun. This is the level of stupidity that this club has reached. Between the Real Madrid TV videos, between saying they weren't going to show up to the Copa del Rey final. Now this is the level of stupidity that this club has reached. And yet, they tell you that they are the greatest club in the world. The Champions League winners 15 times. There's nobody greater than Real Madrid. Well, if you're so great, why do you keep acting like a bottom-of-the-barrel club? Because, of course, they know these statements don't say shit. They know they cannot be included in a legal case. Okay, this is not your grandma gossiping about shit. This is an actual court proceeding where you can't just be like, oh, look, this guy giving his opinion, so that's it. It means, like, they know. They have lawyers. They know that this doesn't mean shit. But, of course, they have to bring it up. Why? Because, oh, coincidence. They just got hammered by Atletico, and Barcelona are now on top of La Liga table. Right on time. So this is the level of patheticness that this club has reached. If Real Madrid were ever a great club, and they have won a lot, they are no longer that great club that they used to be. Now they are a pathetic, sore losing, bottom of the barrel club. It's embarrassing what they keep doing to themselves. And honestly, as a Real Madrid fan, I would be pretty ashamed of my own club that is constantly crying and crying and crying and constantly looking for excuses to explain their defeat. Because this whole Negreira case is nothing more than a tantrum, because for many years, Barcelona dominated La Liga and whooped them time and time again. But instead of saying, hey, that's okay, it happened, that's how football is, one moment you're at the top, the other one you're not. Let's figure out a way how we can dominate for the next 20 years. No. They find excuses, they throw tantrums, because they are a pathetic club. Bottom of a barrel club. That's what Real Madrid has become. If they were a great club, they're no longer that. And honestly, as a Real Madrid fan, I would be absolutely ashamed to be associated with a club that constantly resorts to crying. It's always the refs. It's never their mediocre team. It's always the ref. It's never their mediocre coaches. It's always the refs. It's never the fact that they've been mediocre for years. It's always the refs. And at some point, you got to say, when is it enough? When are you actually going to fix your team rather than find excuses? Because Negreira was hired by Barcelona until 2018. It's been 7 years. What's your excuse now? Was it Negreira that helped Atletico Madrid score 5 goals 7 years later? Pathetic club. That's what they are. Anyways, let's talk about Xavi real quick, since I forgot to mention him during the first segment. But it looks like they're saying that Manchester United are interested in hiring Xavi Hernandez to replace Ruben Amorim, the guy who kicked Marcus Rashford out. Well, it looks like he's about to get kicked because, well, it turns out he's a mediocre coach. And they're looking, of course, to fire him, understandably so. And they're seriously considering Xavi Hernandez. And not only that, because there's plenty of clubs that have considered him, including Al Nassr, who are once again making a push to hire Xavi Hernandez in Saudi Arabia. But here's the twist, is that Xavi actually is seriously considering going to Man U. They're saying he wants to coach in the Premier League because it's the best league in the world. He's always been a fan. He's always been a fan of Man U. Obviously, he's a culé until the death, but there's another club that he likes to watch is Man U, and he believes that Man U have a good squad that should be competing for everything. So they're saying Xavi's considering it very seriously. Man U are considering hiring him very seriously. So my question to you is, do you think this will be a good fit for Xavi? I would rather not, because Man U is a fucking mess, and I would hate for Xavi to go from the mess that was his tenure at Barcelona to another mess, which is Man U. I think it's better maybe if he goes to a more low-profile club so he can get back into it, kind of like what Ansu's doing. Went to a low-profile club, Monaco, no pressure. The expectations are not that high, so without that pressure, he can try to find himself again as a football player, and it's working. So far, scored 3 goals in 2 matches. So maybe that's what Xavi needs to do. Maybe he needs to go to a more low-profile club where, the light is not shining on him the whole time, where not every move that he does is dissected and talked about for 24 hours, because that's what's going to be at Man U. At Man U, the spotlight is going to be right on him. Everybody's going to be dissecting everything he does, everything he says, and it's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. I think it's better maybe if he goes to a more low-profile club, continues growing, developing, because I truly believe his move to Barca was too early. To go from coaching a club in Qatar to Barca, that's a huge, huge jump. And to go now to Man U, which is an absolute mess, I don't know if that will be the best for his career, because if he goes to Man U and things don't work out, he could be putting an end to his career, because people are going to start saying, oh, look, he failed at Barca, he failed at Man U. He's obviously not a good coach. And things could not work out at Man U because, it's Man U. It's a fucking mess. And it might not be his fault. But if you fail twice, at some point, people are going to be like, okay, it's definitely the coach. So I don't know. That's my opinion. You guys let me know. What do you think? Let's get back to the comment section. And then we are going to talk about Bartomeu, because breaking news, judge has charged them with embezzlement. Something I've been saying for a while. I'm like, everything I look at points me to one thing and one thing only. And that's that fool was stealing. Mike Valencia says, how do you know if you're in a gay picnic gathering, the hot dogs taste like shit? No offense to gays. I just wanted Mo to read this. I guess. That's a terrible joke, but... Valeria says, Julian Alvarez won everything except Ballon d'Or. Maybe he can achieve it with Barca. Yeah, but we can't afford him. I wish we could. I think he would be a great addition, but no. Peter says, good morning, Mo. Peter from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you for the good work you're doing. Thank you, my friend, for watching. And Mantamante says, pumped for the PSG match. I am too, but at the same time, it's a shame that Barcelona have so many injuries and that PSG have so many injuries. I really wanted to see the best Barca 11 versus the best PSG 11. That would have been one hell of a show. But I think it's still got to be a great match. But I think it would have been better with everybody healthy on both sides. Yomidara says, hey, Mo, in your opinion, if you were Flick, when and how would play Bernal? I would follow the same plan as Gabi. Just slowly give him minutes here, give him minutes there, and then increase him until eventually he can start matches. So I can't imagine that would happen during this year, probably the second half of this season, so 2026. But, I'm not a physical trainer. I'm not a kinesiologist. I'm not a doctor. And, Barcelona have pretty talented physical therapists and physical trainers and that know, obviously, what's best for Bernal. But, yeah, I think it's slowly bring him back. We cannot just rush him. People are saying, start him against PSG. I was like, what? What? Archie says, greetings, Mo. What's up with Dina Olmo and Bernard registration? Dani Olmo? And Bernard's registration. Courts proceeding with all these injuries, and Real Madrid childishness will soon see another distraction. Thanks for the... What's FTE? Thanks. Maybe I'm getting old. I'm not keeping up with the acronyms. Dani Olmo and Bernard is registered. Marc Bernal was never a problem with his registration. Dani Olmo, I think he's still registered under the court order. So is Gabi, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, nothing new on that end. And Arnold says, Mo, I still think that you should collaborate with Jamie of Talk FCB because both of you are the most accurate Barca channel with reliable news. It's gonna be bombasso. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the compliment. I've only seen like 1 or 2 videos of Talk FCB because people kept telling me, hey, go watch it. I do like his content. Again, I don't watch it on a regular basis. I don't really watch content creators in English. When it comes to Barca, I only watch it in Spanish. But from what I've heard, what people told me that he doesn't really do collabs. And it makes sense because the videos that I did watch of his channel is there is no face, right? It's just slides, right? So it makes sense that he wouldn't do collaboration because, I mean, if he does that, if he does the images, I imagine it's because he doesn't want to show his face, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he wants to be private. You know, he doesn't want people to know who he is, which I know a lot of content creators like that who don't want to, you know, they want to lead a private life. So they use pictures and images instead of their face. So maybe that's why he doesn't do collabs. I'm guessing here because a collab obviously have to be, you know, 2 faces talking to each other. Unless, of course, he can use maybe just an image and his voice. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I love doing collabs. Everybody who's ever reached out to me, I've always agreed to do a collab. I love collabs. I love talking to people about Barca. I like sharing opinions and, hey, what do you think? What I think? And, you know, I like it. But, yeah, from what people have told me is that he doesn't do collabs. Shin says, you stopped your match review before you saw this, but I recommend that I finished making my number 19 Lamine Yamal Copa del Rey Señera kit. If you ever have my back on your have me back on your Mocast, I'll be happy to show it to you. Turned out good. Well, thank you, my friend, for your donation, and thank you for the update. I would love to see it. Maybe take a picture and put it on Discord. Oh, by the way, I gotta update the link for Discord. I keep forgetting. Someone told me that they left it on by mistake and that the link doesn't work anymore. So I got to update the Discord link again on the community tab. I'll do it today as soon as the podcast ends. But maybe put the picture in the Discord. I'll check it out. But thank you, my friend, for your generosity. And yes, I would love to see what the Lamine Yamal number 19 Señera with the Copa del Rey patch on it. I would love to see it. All right, let's get back to the news. Let's talk about the big bombshell today. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Josep Maria Bartomeu has been officially charged by a judge, not by someone giving their opinion on TV. Real Madrid. Morons. By the way, when I read that article, I was laughing my ass off. As a lawyer, I'm like, these guys are just fucking stupid. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Real Madrid and their stupidity. We're here to talk about Josep Maria Bartomeu because he has officially been charged with embezzlement. Yes, you heard that right. All of this was as a result of a complaint filed by Joan Laporta in 2022. Now, I've talked about this before, but let's recap. When Joan Laporta became the president of Barcelona, he hired an accounting firm to do a full audit of all Barcelona's finances. They went through every single receipt, every single account statement, every single spending, income, everything, to try to figure out where we were financially. Now that took months, but then eventually the report came out. It turned out we were in a much worse situation than initially anticipated. And this is why Barcelona, even though Laporta had said, hey, we're going to renew Messi, once that report came out, he was like, we can't. There's no way. This is why I never blame Laporta for what happened to Messi. I know there's some fans who do. I don't, because there's nothing he could do. His hands were tied. He became a president of a club that was on the verge of bankruptcy. He does this audit report. It turns out the club was even worse, financially speaking, than ever imagined, because Bartomeu was, of course, hiding a lot of this mismanagement and a lot of this overspending of the club. Now, when that report came out, Laporta obviously looked at it and he was like, what the hell is going on here? So he presented a complaint to the court on behalf of FC Barcelona as a Barcelona president, not as a private citizen. He brought a complaint to the court. The court has been investigating for more than 2 years since this, because this was done in 2022. And now, after more than 2 years of investigating Laporta's complaint, a judge has determined that there is enough evidence to charge Josep Maria Bartomeu with embezzlement and he has been summoned to court, and he has to appear in front of a judge on October 24th. Now, disclaimer, this just means that there's enough evidence to charge Bartomeu. Doesn't mean that he is guilty. For that, there has to be, court proceedings, a trial, and it has to be demonstrated. Again, innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. Now, what exactly was in that complaint, or what exactly prompted Laporta to bring forward this complaint against the former Barcelona president? First of all, the commissions that Bartomeu was paying for deals like the Griezmann deal were up to 33%. That's insane. Commissions to Asians are usually 6%, 7%, maybe 10%. 12 is the maximum. That's like, oof, you're the best Asian in the world, and you're amazing, and you really charging really, really high, like you're freaking, what's his name, the Portuguese guy, Jorge Mendes, right? 12%, the highest, and that's like insanely expensive for a commission. This guy was paying commissions of 33%, 3 times the going rate. And here's the crazy thing. These commissions were getting paid through shell companies. Why are you doing that? If it's totally legal, why are you using shell companies to pay 33% commissions? Again, 3 times what the going rate is. But that's not all. In the Malcolm deal, remember Malcolm? He was going to be the next big thing in Barcelona. Bartomeu paid 10% commission after he was transferred. Now, the commission is agreed to before the transfer. You negotiate the transfer fee, salary, the commission of the agent. Everybody agrees. You sign the contract. Transfer happens. Great. Done deal. That happened. And then Bartomeu went and signed a second contract after the transfer that paid 10% commission on the Malcolm deal. Now, there's more. He also paid 1.7 million euros to a lawyer named Gonzalo Franco to settle the Neymar case. Because remember, he's also indicted for the Neymar case because there were some irregularities. Let's leave it at that with the payments. I made a video about it if you want to see this on the channel. He also paid 15 million euros to Atletico de Madrid to prevent them from suing us because he had negotiated with Griezmann while he's still under contract, which is something you can't do. And in total, all these suspicious payments that I haven't mentioned all of them, these are just the big ones, they total up to 30 million euros. This is, again, this is just the suspicious payments he's made. This is not including the 33% commissions that he was paying on some of the signings. So as a result, of course, Joan Laporta brought forward a complaint for dishonest administration, embezzlement, and account manipulation. And after more than 2 years of investigation, a judge has deemed that there's enough evidence to charge Bartomeu with these charges of embezzlement, dishonest administration, and account manipulation, and he has to show up to court on October 24th. Crazy. And this is what I've been saying, by the way, like when I was talking about the Negreira case and, paying these really high amounts for refereeing reports. Because remember, refereeing reports are standard practice, right? All clubs pay former referees for refereeing reports. These reports explain certain new rules or changes in rules. They explain how certain referees rule. Like, oh, look, this referee really doesn't like certain move and he always gives out yellow for them. Or this referee really does not like this, and if this happens, he might rule as a penalty kick, right? These reports are standard practice, right? All clubs pay for them. Barcelona was paying for these reports from 2001 to 2018 to Negreira's company. And up until the years of Rosé and Bartomeu, the prices that Barcelona were paying for these reports were standard prices. But then during Rosé and Bartomeu years, these reports, all of a sudden, they were paying 60,000 euros per report, which is incredibly high. I mean, imagine you make a 5-6 page report and you get paid 60,000. That's incredibly high. And I said, I don't think Barcelona were paying these crazy amounts to bribe referees. I think that Bartomeu and Rosé were stealing, because that's a good way of stealing, right? If a report costs, let's say, 10,000 euros, You pay out, you put on paper that you paid 60, you pay the 10,000 for the report, and the other 50 you pocket. Same with the commission, right? If the commission is 10%, on paper you put it was 33, you pay out the 10% and you pocket the 22 or 23. Or maybe you pay out a 15% commission because maybe the guy who's receiving the commission is on it too. So you're like, all right, here, we're going to give you a little bit more. You stay quiet and we pocket the other half. And it looks like that's what the investigation is headed now. Well, this is a separate investigation, of course. But as you know, Miguel Galan wants to join the Negreira case because he thinks what I've been saying this whole time, that in the Negreira case, it wasn't about bribing referees, but it was about Rosé and Bartomeu stealing money from the club. Now, of course, innocent until proven guilty. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And of course, I'll always be here to update you as this case progresses through court. All right, let's get back to the chat section and then we'll talk about Marc Bernal. Wait, there we go. Here we go. Where did it leave off? I don't remember. Okay, here we go. Carlos says, so Madrid can never lose. If they lose, it's not because they play bad. It's just embarrassing. Are they supposed to go undefeated for the whole season? No ties, no losses. Yeah, it's never their fault. Which, by the way, it's great. It's great for us. It's great. The more Madrid cry about referees and how it's all referees are out to get them and everybody hates them and it's better for us, honestly, because that means they're never going to improve, right? Because if it's not your fault, how can you improve? If it's the referee, there's nothing you can do about it, right? So honestly, I'd much rather they always cry about refs than they actually say, shit, we lost because we suck. Let's figure out how we can improve, right? Which is a point that I used to make a lot during the Xavi years, but people failed to see it. But now they can see it with Madrid. But it doesn't work like that. You either always see it or you never see it. You don't just be like, oh, yeah, you're right about Madrid. But, oh, no, you weren't right about Xavi. Because, remember, Xavi always had an excuse every time. It's the ref. It's the injuries. It's because they didn't bring me Kimmich. It's all these excuses. Oh, well, we had a higher expected goal ratio. Who gives a fuck? Did you score those expected goals? You didn't. So who cares? Oh, the data shows that we played better. Yeah, but did you win? No. So who cares what the data shows? And it was always excuses. And I always used to say, we cannot keep making up excuses. Because the more excuses you make, the less you're going to improve. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened, right? Flick takes over, says no more excuses. Injuries are not an excuse. Referees are not an excuse. The pitch state is not an excuse. Remember when we played against Arsenal and Xavi told us, oh, it's because it was hot. What? But people say I'm the hater and I'm crazy. And till this day, even though Flick has already shown us what this squad was actually capable of doing without the excuses, till this day, people bend over backwards and try to tell me that it was this and it was that and it was... It's like, my God, if you spend half the energy you spend on making up excuses on the actual team, can you imagine what we would be able to accomplish? Because it takes a lot of work to come up with excuses. Why not redirect that energy? No. Some people are just meant to be mediocre. Newborn Dancer says, hey, Mo, you are the best. I just came from work. Well, breezy. Well, thank you, my friend. And thank you for joining the live. Even though you just got out of work, I'm sure you just wanted to relax and not hear me complain. So thank you for joining. And Manuel says, crybabies get kicks from their so-called thrones. They fall with a thump. Best defense in La Liga took 5. Yeah. They told us Hausen was better than Cubarsí. And they told us that Alvaro Carreras was going to be alongside Trent. They were going to be just running circles on everybody. And with Xavi Alonso, they were going to win everything. Whereas Hausen, he got exposed twice in 2 of the goals. Trent, the guy is injured. Alvaro, one of the goals was actually his fault when he lost the ball too. I don't know, man. Xavi Alonso. Manta says, Mo, I train Muay Thai now. You said you do MMA, right? I do. That's awesome that you're training Muay Thai. That's pretty cool. I love Muay Thai. I think it's a great martial art. It's fucking brutal, but I love it. I love it. Just be careful with your shins because they will hurt a lot during the beginning. But then eventually, obviously, the body adjusts. You get used to it. But, yeah. be ready for your shins to look blue and black all the time. Like, but it's a great feeling. Newborn says, I'm always out on your page checking in. Thank you for bringing the greatest update, the Barca, Bisca Barca forever, all the way. Thank you, my friend, for checking in. And yes, Bisca Barca. And with that, let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do more comments, I promise. But let's get through the news. That way we have more time towards the end. But let's talk about Marc Bernal, because one of the most promising players to come out of La Masia has officially extended his contract with the club until 2029. And that's, of course, very exciting because all of Bernal's coaches say that he is the next Busquets. And I believe it. I believe it. Now, we didn't get to see him a lot last season. We only saw him a few matches, and then he got injured. But those very few matches that he played were more than enough to show me that this kid is indeed special. He's the Lamine Yamal of the midfield, the same way Pau Cubarsí is the Lamine Yamal of the defense. We have three incredibly promising players, three generational talents, and I'm glad that they have all renewed with Barcelona, with, of course, Marc Bernal being the last one. Why? Because Barcelona were waiting for him to turn 18 years old. Because as you know, when you're under 18, you cannot sign contracts longer than 3 years. Now, this contract renewal started last year when he got injured. You guys might recall when I made the video. But right after he got injured and underwent the surgery, Barcelona reached out to him and said, look, we want to renew you. And now it's Barcelona telling Bernal, don't worry, bro. Focus on your recovery. Focus on coming back stronger. We trust you. We believe in you. So don't think that this injury is a setback, right? Because you can imagine what was going through his mind. He's worked his whole life, working his way up through the academy so he can finally debut at the team. He reaches his dream of debuting with the first team, and then bam, there goes the injury, and he's probably thinking, crap, that's it for me. They're not going to want me. I just tore my ACL, blah, blah, blah. But the club said, dude, don't worry. We want you. We believe in you. We believe that you're going to be the next best thing in the midfield. So just recover, focus on that. And we are so confident in you and in your abilities that despite you having gone through this injury, we still want to renew you. So this renewal talks started last year. And then, of course, it was just a matter of time. And now officially today, Marc Bernal signed the contract in the Barcelona offices until 2029. And these were his statements after his renewal, saying it's the happiest day of my life. If you had said this 2 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. Since I was a kid, all kids dream of this. I have made my dream come true. Now it's time to take things one step at a time and see how it goes, as I have just come back from a serious injury. It's all part of the process, and there is no hurry. The best Marc Bernal will come when the time is right, and I truly believe that as well. Now, Bernal also added, I have to get back on the pitch and get up to speed, but I am really grateful to the club for their confidence. It's been a tough year, but from very start, I was surprised how everyone helped me. It made it much easier. And then when asked about who's his idol, he said, Sergio Busquets is a model for me, one of my idols. When I got injured, he sent me a message, and that made me really happy. What an idol to have. Great idol to have. So please, Marc, if you can learn from Busquets, please do, because Busquets was our greatest pivot, and I have no doubts Marc Bernal could be one day up there as well. But of course, that's many, many years from today. All right, let's get back to the comment section. That was all the news, by the way. So let's do some comments. But Edward says, hi, Mo, do you think Rashi may be showing some bad Man U habits, like when he dribbled past the passing channel, when he dribbled into the box, and when he shot right at the keeper again, he plays too fast? I think with Rashford, he's still like trying to find his footing in the team, which is normal. He's still trying to, figure out how to play with his teammates. So I think that's why we see a lot of times that lack of the right. He doesn't take sometimes the right decision, right? Because his runs are incredible. He's very, very talented individually. His individualities show it, right? When he takes off, nobody can stop him. He's so fast, strong, physical. But then, right, that last touch, it's what fails him, right? The last pass or the shot. And I think it's just because he's still not used to his teammates, and his teammates are not used to him. But I think as that improves and as he adapts to the team and the team adapts to him, we'll see much better, because then not only will he be able to do those runs, which we've seen him that he can, but then he'll be able to finalize them, whether it be combining with a teammate or whether it be taking a shot at goal. I think that's going to come with time. So I'm not worried. So like man says, the beautiful thing about technology is that it has exposed all the people, things we once thought were special. Example given, Real Madrid. I agree, my friend. And Curtis says there are very few elite players around now compared to the previous generation. So now Madrid can only buy average players. Now it's a level playing field. You know what? I can't remember who said it, but I was watching TV one time and there was it was a pundit. I can't remember who, but he said, we're living in the golden generation of athletes. And he believed that we're not going to see a golden era, a golden era of athletes. And that we're not going to see a golden era like this ever again. And when you think about it, you're like, it makes sense. Because look at all the greats that have played at the same time, right? We have Lewis Hamilton in Formula One. Messi in football. LeBron in basketball. Who else? Tom Brady in American football. And, the list goes on. Mayweather in boxing, right? And you see all these, great athletes in their respective sports doing things that their predecessors, the other greats in the sport hadn't done. And it's it truly does make you think. Tiger Woods in golf, right? You're like, wow, maybe we are living. Even Phelps in swimming. There's always been greats in every sport throughout history. But then you look at the greats from now in each sport, and they've done things that the previous greats, were not able to do. What's her name in gymnastics? I was going to say short girl, but they're all short. Oh my God, what's her name? Now I have to Google it because it's going to bother me. Her name is... where is it? Why can't I find her name? Simone Biles. But anyways, I digress. We have another donation. Nathan Forte says, if Bartomeu is found guilty, can the money that he misused be recovered? I mean, yeah, technically he could. The court could order him to go to prison and also pay a restitution. Now, whether he has that money in the bank somewhere, because I doubt he has as much money as he wasted at Barcelona. So yes, the answer is yes. Jason says Bolt running. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that man is fucking quick. Usain Bolt. Freaking missile. So yeah, we've seen a lot of greats all at the same time in all across the sports. It's crazy. It really has been a golden era. Now, I hope it's not true what that gentleman said, who I can't remember who it was, that we're not going to see an era like that again, because I really hope we do. Because, I mean, how entertaining these past decade and a half, 2 decades have been, watching all these greats excel in their sports. Watch Tom Brady win Ballon d'Ors, Super Bowls. I mean, it's crazy. Watching Messi win 8 Ballon d'Ors. And even the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry, I mean... but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what we've witnessed these past few years. Shamar says, it's a shame that clubs stay financial, but I'm glad we have a squad. We do give us joys as culés. Amen, my friend. Paul Diaz says, yo, Mo, what's good? Did you hear about the unfortunate news in Spain about the 19-year-old who passed in 5th Division today? Very sad news. Apparently, it was a concussion related. Yes, Shin mentioned it a few moments ago. Very, very, very sad. 19 years old, man. That's incredibly young. He had his whole life ahead of him. It's really, really sad. I wonder how it happened. Maybe this is something that can be addressed in the future on maybe some change in regulations to try to avoid these kind of things. It's kind of like in American football, there's been a lot of talks about how to prevent concussion because these players, they get hit so much. I mean, their brains become pudding by the time they retire. And then the fans are like, the NFL is becoming, a pussy sport, blah, blah. Well, yeah, easy for you to say because your fat ass is sitting on the couch while eating hot dogs and burgers while you're watching this and sipping on a freaking 64-ounce big gulp Coke. You're not the one on the field getting hit and waking up the next day with your ears buzzing because your brain is just taking so much beating. And it's crazy, man. Edward says, Mo, sorry to differ with you, but FIFA and UEFA only get the 10% rule for agents about 3 or 4 years ago. Remember that Neymar, third-party ownership. Right, but we're not talking about rules. We're talking about the going rate, right? The going rate, there could be rules for anything, right? But we're talking about the going rate. If the going rate for a Toyota Corolla is $20,000 and you find out someone paid $100K, you're like, that is pretty suspicious or stupid. One of the two, right? So it's not about what the rule is or it's about what the going rate is. And 33% is not the going rate. 33% commission, that's insane. And that definitely raises eyebrows. The Matrix says he should also be banned from entering or have doing anything to do with Barcelona again. Yeah, definitely. Revoke his Sochi card. Ban him from all events. But that, of course, he's found guilty. Again, innocent until proven guilty. That's very important. That's a pillar of democracy. And that should apply to anyone. Not just the people we like. Right? They say you could judge how free a country is by how they treat their worst people in the society, their criminals. Because rights should apply to everyone in a free society. You don't get to pick who the rules apply to or not. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. Where did we leave off? Eddie Rodriguez says, concerning Xavi, since when is winning La Liga a failure? Did I say that? Did I say winning La Liga is a failure? No, right? But here's my question to you. Since when getting fired for underperforming is a success? You answer me that question, I'll answer yours. How about that? Alex Narnia says, Mo, what do Madrid think they are? Like they are not capable of losing. Give me a break. You aren't that special. I don't care if you are 50 winner. I don't know, man. Apparently, the only way Madrid can lose is if someone conspires against them. Otherwise, it's impossible because, they're so great. They're God's chosen club. By the way, there are people in Spain that say that. I'm not even kidding. That Madrid, that God is a Madrid fan. They say that. They legit say that. So, yeah, of course, if you're God's chosen club, the only way you're going to lose is if people conspire against you. That's it. There's no way. Like, something has to be wrong. And has nothing to do with you sucking. It's just, there has to be a conspiracy, right? But anyways, Edward says both Rashi and Lawi made runs into the box and almost tripped over each other, and no one made the cross into the box. Both looked frustrated at the lack of service they were in and could have scored. Yeah, there was definitely a huge disconnect between our attacking line and the rest of the team, and unfortunately, that had to do with Dro, right? Because Dro just did not have a good match. And this is not, to knock Dro down because I think he's incredibly talented. He has lots of potential. But, he's a kid. First time starting in first division. Not everybody's Lamine Yamal, right? Not everybody can just make the jump from Juvenil to first division and be like, woo, let's go. The great majority of players, it takes some time to adapt. And Lamine is not the rule, is the exception. A lot of people forget that. They're like, oh, well, Lamine, immediately started. Yeah, but that's Lamine. Most players, the great majority of players, it takes some time. So that's just what's going on with Dro. It's going to take him some time. So this is not to knock him, but yeah, he was the weak link. And he was losing a lot of balls, and he was not connecting with the attacking line. And as we've seen before, like when Dani Olmo had a bad match, when you take that link out of the equation, the attacking midfield link, it causes problems because there's a big disconnect between your attacking front, your attacking line, and your midfield. So yeah, Manta says Dembele and Vitinha injured. Yeah, so is Doué, so is Marquinhos. Lots of injuries. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really helps the channel grow. It promises that algorithm to recommend the video to people who've never seen the channel. If you want to let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything we discussed, drop it in the comment section. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. It's free. I will be posting another video, another news video. So I will see you guys in that video. And as always, Garcia.